We ventured.
Yeah, a month ago. And when it comes to editing, this will probably like air 4 months from now at this point, but whatevs. In late March, early April of 2025.
We ventured.
Stand by, Stand by music. Stand by now. 3, 2, 1. And
They're the Meryl Streep and Tom Hanks of Hobbs. American public, you are worthless.
Can't account for taste.
Nice. Your teaser from earlier on the loose adaptation.
The Human Torch was denied a bank loan.
Shove that Pulitzer Prize square up your ass.
I'm so happy.
I'm as best as you're going to get, ladies, so here you go.
We have...
Shut up!
Then it's not a porn! Masturbatory bullshit. I get the joke now.
Hey,
Stupid,
kids.
wonderful thing. Yeah.
Here's some stickers.
Are you in the crosshairs of the woke mob?
To the bridge of Cosmic Doom.
What is happening in my mouth?
Pumpkin spice lattes. I was the mark and you were the mark, man.
Yay. You want to get high together? You want to drink?
Son of a...
Subterfuge, machinations. Wow. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right. Well, welcome everyone to a brand new episode of 20 Years, 4 Beers. We are a podcast dedicated to rewatching movies from at least 2 decades ago, while simultaneously enjoying a minimum of 4 modern beers. My name is Steve, and this is my big brother,
Tim.
And we are coming to you from Minneapolis, Minnesota. In this episode, we once again are taking a look further back than 2005, 20 years ago, and we'll be featuring a theme called Somehow These Two Dark Brad Pitt movies came out the same year, and that year is 30 years ago. We'll be discussing 12 Monkeys in our happy hour, and in this episode, we'll be discussing Se7en. We didn't really talk about this ahead of time. Do you have any recent rewatches you want to talk about? Because we didn't have like a 40-year-old virgin or anything, or...
No, I mean,
time filler.
Nothing that stands out.
Just time filler, because we're gonna have a whole lot in the after, like, of talking about this when it's done.
Yeah.
The only thing I want to talk about is I'm gonna add to. I'm sure anyone who's been on the internet and the social media or heard about it. Everyone needs to watch The Pit.
Sure.
It's just the best new show that's been on for quite some time.
Yeah.
On Max, worth the free trial if you don't already have one, or borrowing it from a family member.
Wink,
wink. Yeah, exactly. Please do so as soon as possible. All right, well, as mentioned, we are rewatching Se7en. Se7en is the dark story of 2 detectives, one a rookie and the other a grizzled vet near retirement, both who end up on a case where our killer is choosing his victims based on the 7 deadly sins. The killer is somehow one step ahead of the men the entire time and may even have a masterpiece of a crime spree if he can pull it off. What follows is a dark and twisted movie that served as the coming out party for director David Fincher, and is easily one of our favorite films.
Mm-hmm.
The film is directed by David Fincher, written by Andrew Kevin Walker, and stars Morgan Freeman, Brad Pitt, Gwyneth Paltrow, spoiler, Kevin Spacey, and R. Lee Ermey, just because I love R. Lee Ermey. You gotta say his name.
Yeah, it's great.
You gotta say it.
If you guys were the inventors of Facebook, you invented Facebook.
This is a social network
You don't have to be an intellectual property expert to understand the difference between right and wrong.
where we take a look back at the critical and fan reception from 2 decades ago.
Mark!
As usual, Tim takes point on this, so take it away, Tim.
You better lawyer up, asshole, because I'm not coming back for 30%. I'm coming back for everything. $1 billion.
The IMDb rating is one of the highest we've had on the show. Not surprising. 8.6 out of 10. So very highly regarded. At the time, Michael H. Price of Fort Worth Star-Telegram. That's right. I found them. Said, I wouldn't go so far as to call Fincher's Se7en the most terrifying film ever.
Jeez.
But it's right up there on top of the list with Psycho and The Silence of the Lambs. Part of me is like, really? No Exorcist? But that's okay.
Yeah, I put it more on the Silence of the Lambs style.
Correct.
That's sort of like brooding, sort of moody the whole way
Suspense,
through. Yeah.
Thriller.
Exorcist.
Yes.
Yeah, that's... And Psycho. Yeah, I think there's a difference between scary and suspenseful maybe for
Correct.
him. Okay.
Yes. Jeff Strickler. Our old
Good old
pal.
Star Trib.
That's right. From Star Trib said, topping the list of admirable elements in Se7en is the performance of Freeman and the overall balance of the script. part mystery, part morality play. The elements that unfortunately don't work include a grisly fascination with serial killings and a plot that stumbles into hackneyed cliches.
Okay. Well, Strickler's Strickler's a
ones
wimp.
that didn't quite figure it out at the time. Big Man Raj.
So gross to look at.
Oh gosh, you made a movie about serial killers? Fascinated by serial killers? 3.5 out of 4. Said Se7en is a dark, grisly, horrifying, and intelligent thriller, possibly too disturbing for many people. Although if you can bear to watch it, you will see filmmaking of the highest order. The material itself could have been handled in many ways, but director Fincher elevates it with an uncompromisingly dreary, evocative atmosphere, and the writing provides dialogue for Freeman that is wise, informed, and poetic. In this jungle of unending, rainy gloom, Freeman and Pitt tread with growing alarm, and eventually it becomes clear the killer's sermon is being preached directly to the two policemen, and that in order to understand it, they may have to risk their souls. Probably one of the most cheesy of Ebert getting into like some of these that might be in their souls, but spot on across the board in terms of the review.
For all of his faults, he knows what he's talking
He
about.
figured it out at the time. This is a difference in kind. And Academy Awards that year, 1 nomination for editing. Right?
I guess I would have guessed 0 nominations.
It's the
Just
one that's in
type of movie and,
Yes. Like popcorn type of thriller. But nothing that year except for that one.
Cool. Well, thank you. All right. Well, we are going to pause and rewatch the movie. If you are so inclined, go right ahead and watch along with us because it is just a barn burner of a laugh
Buckle
riot.
up.
If not, we'll see on the other side of this break. Here now is 7.
If your hand was forced, it seems strange to me that you would get such enjoyment out of it. You enjoyed torturing those people. This doesn't seem in keeping with martyrdom, does it?
John. I doubt I enjoyed it any more than Detective Mills would enjoy time alone with me in a room without windows. Isn't that true? How happy would it make you to hurt me with impunity?
That hurts my feelings. I would never.
You wouldn't, only because there's consequences. It's in those eyes of yours, though. Nothing wrong with a man taking pleasure in his work. I won't deny my own personal desire to turn each sin against the sinner.
Wait a minute, I thought all you did was kill innocent people.
Innocent? Is that supposed to be funny? An obese man? A disgusting man who could barely stand up? A man who, if you saw him on the street, you'd point him out to your friends so that they could join you in mocking him? A man who, if you saw him while you were eating, you wouldn't be able to finish your meal? And after him, I picked the lawyer, and you both must have secretly been thanking me for that one. This is a man who dedicated his life to making money by lying with every breath that he could muster to keeping murderers and rapists on the streets.
Murderers.
A woman.
Murderers, John, like
A
yourself.
woman. So ugly on the inside that she couldn't bear to go on living if she couldn't be beautiful on the outside. A drug dealer, a drug-dealing pederast, actually. And let's not forget the disease-spreading whore. Only in a world this shitty could you even try to say these were innocent people and keep a straight face. But that's the point. We see a deadly sin on every street corner, in every home, and we tolerate it. We tolerate it because it's common. It's trivial. We tolerate it morning, noon, and night. Well, not anymore. I'm setting the example. And what I've done is going to be puzzled over and studied and followed forever.
We begin our discussion with our reaction segment that we call Spotlight.
This is Boston, and the church does not want them to be found, so they are not there.
This is where we highlight and discuss our top takeaways of any kind from rewatching our subject film.
We've got 2 stories here. We've got a story about degenerate clergy, and we've got a story about a bunch of lawyers turning child abuse into a cottage industry.
If there were 90 of these bastards, people would know.
Maybe they do.
This is Spotlight.
They knew, and they let it happen.
All right, well, welcome back to 20 Years, 4 Beers. We have just finished rewatching 7 and have also had 4 new beers that we review in a segment coming up. But first, we talk about our immediate reactions in this Spotlight segment. Tim, what do you got?
So, immediate, but also a little bit of a favorite element for this movie. So, this came out right at the time after I had grown 7 inches.
Ooh.
Height-wise.
Wait, I was like, yeah, where?
Sorry.
Out or up?
Height-wise.
Yeah.
My freshman year at high school. And so I was able to, even though like at a late 15, still able to get into like R movies sometimes.
Oh, look at you.
I know, right? And so I remember seeing this, getting a ticket for it and being passed over, like, you're good to go in with whoever I'd seen at the time, doesn't matter. I actually don't even remember. But it was like the Friday opening weekend and seeing it and being like, holy shit. This was incredible seeing in the theater.
Yeah.
And the next day driving somewhere with Dad.
Yeah.
And, you know, back in the day, like radio commercials and that kind of thing, the advertisement for this. And I remember he was like, you know, I know you like to see lots of different movies, but I'd really like it if you don't go to see this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, sure, Dad. Yeah.
Yikes.
Yep. No, I definitely won't. Like, saw it last night and her head's in the box. So, I still remember this, like that type of like perfect window of being able to sneak in of some sort. And knowing our dad would have seen this and been like, ooh, I don't think this is going to be appropriate type of thing, which at the time, I can't blame him.
Yeah, it's probably not wrong.
Yes.
Yeah, I can't imagine my 16-year-old watching this now.
Right?
I gave him the synopsis of it because he was here tonight and he was like, I'll hang out with the family. He's like, yeah.
Hang out with the younger
move.
kids. Yes.
Smart move.
So that being said, again, a bit of a teaser for us. There's a reason when we look back through these different time windows, which ones we choose.
Yeah. Anything beyond 20 years, there's a reason.
And this is truly one of my all-time favorite movies.
Yeah.
Weird as it is to say, like, really? Like a movie about serial killer? Like,
yeah,
really? But the across the board
filmmaking perspective.
Yes, the production value and the attention to detail. I mean, we were talking about the movie like this and this and that. And like, it's so fun watching again.
Yeah. Yep. Like I never thought about the Switchblade.
Yeah.
Because if he hadn't have had the Switchblade with the painting,
yes,
I would have been like, why does he have a Switchblade to open this box?
Yeah, some random thing.
And the Switchblade isn't actually necessary to the painting scene.
No.
Because he rips it back and it's not there. But you're like, oh.
Yes.
Okay, but now I know he carries the Switchblade with him all over the place.
The level of detail that builds for this is incredible. So, right off the bat, we talked about when we started is, I'll just say, one of my all-time favorite opening sequences.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like,
right.
just like, hey,
there.
like a few minutes in.
Yeah.
Like the movie starts.
Are you talking about the opening credits?
Credits.
Or yeah. Okay.
Like the opening sequence is fine. Like, okay, like, like an introduction to the characters. Like, it's not like a, attention grabbing. It's just like, like a police procedural thing. Cool. But they set the stage really well of like retiring dude, brand new guy. Okay. Some dialogue. And then we go right to the opening credits. And what I love, and she won't ever listen to it, so it's great. But having watched it tonight with my wife, with us, and hasn't seen it in a long time, she asked us like, "What are you guys taking notes about?
Yeah,
what's this about?" It was great to kind of like talk about, like, for me at least, the opening sequence is a unique thing where you don't see that really often, where it is showing us the mind of the villain of the movie, and you don't know it.
Yeah.
Upon first viewing.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, oh, this is kind of interesting because it's setting the stage, the mood, like, like guy like shaving off his fingerprints, like really weird stuff. But you don't appreciate it until repeated viewings where like, oh, we're going to introduce you 5 minutes in to what this, like, the main killer of this movie is doing to set the stage for what you're about to see. And that's, to me, is just a brilliant, like, focus of Fincher and whoever decided to do that. Like, I love a movie. Like, it sets it apart.
It wasn't. Well, I mean, it was Fincher But it was a happy accident. So Fincher's original idea was that it would start with like Somerset, I guess like up in some quiet cabin or something like that, and then he would like drive back into town. Like he was in some peaceful,
like
serene
serenity,
thing, you know, and then he comes back into the awfulness of his job.
Yeah.
But when they were showing edits to executives, he needed an opening sequence that wasn't filmed.
Sure.
So he got this guy, I wrote his name, Kyle Cooper, this Yale grad student who,
Really?
yeah, he asked him to put together, and so he put together basically that sequence.
Yeah.
And he threw the 9 Inch Nails song on it.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't ever planning on, it wasn't planning on being in the film, so they didn't need the rights to it or anything. It was just going to be shown to execs or whatever. And then it became, so then they decided.
It's just like, yeah, that's the one we're doing.
Well, the execs actually, to the credit, although they wanted to change the ending, to the credit, I guess they wanted this as a starter. Like they were blown away by this. And so it was kind of a happy accident. He just found this kid. I'm sure he had a relationship with him, but and he was like, hey, I need this. Like we have this footage and we have these notebooks and we have this whatever. Can you create some sort of opening credit sequence?
Yeah.
And that, so it was not planned.
That's
from the beginning. So it wasn't even Fincher. It was this kid, Kyle Cooper.
And it sets the mood.
Yes.
Of like, it's a slow beginning where you're just like, okay, here's Mills at some kind of crime scene.
Yep.
Or I did Somerset. And then Mills comes in like, hey, nice to meet you. Cool. And like they have like a little dialogue. And there's nothing.
Yeah, it's not related to the movie
the main
itself.
crux of the story.
Right.
And then you start the credit sequence. You're like, oh, I'm kind of instantly on edge.
Yeah.
Of like, oh, this is going to be interesting. So I truly think like, that's it. I love that story.
Yeah.
It introduces you to the villain without you knowing right away.
Yeah.
Of what they're doing.
Yeah, I think my sort of initial response, I didn't see this in theaters, obviously. And but when we were talking about when you had the critics reviews, things of that nature, early on, I think I never really thought about this in a Silence of the Lambs comparison. I don't know why.
Right.
They're very different.
Yeah.
In some ways, but I think it's a very apt comparison between them.
Absolutely.
In that Silence of the Lambs, short of there's not a ton of horror, quote unquote.
True.
Like this is what bothers me about Silence of the Lambs forever is people say that it's the first horror movie to win Best Picture. It's like, nah, it's not a horror movie.
It's like, no.
It's not a horror movie.
No.
Like, it's got horror elements, sure, but not really. There's very actual little violence. All the violence is off screen. You see the aftermath of things. You do see the guy the guard hanging up, and you see the
like
face
when Lecter
sort of
gets
pulled
the
out.
guy's
Like
face
towards
off,
the end, yes, but
yes.
Beyond that, it's really not a horror movie.
No.
But in where I think it's a good apt comparison is both are slow burn movies.
Yep.
Of
Totally.
A rookie, sort of like young detective. Now, in this case, Mills is paired with a partner, but even still, Clarice Starling is under the
tutelage
of what's his face?
John Glenn.
It's Scott Glenn.
Scott Glenn.
Yes. John Glenn, was an astronaut, but Scott Glenn's an actor.
Yeah.
But it's still under the tutelage of somebody else, and then they end up in the sort of like finding. Now, obviously, they end up going for Buffalo Bill.
Yeah.
A serial killer. But, it's just, there's some apt comparisons, but really it's the mood.
Yeah.
And really, especially from a score standpoint, there's just a constant, like, under the tone of the whole movie, like the score. And, I don't know. I think it's an apt comparison. I had never really thought of it in a comparison to Silence of the Lambs. We're going to come to that later, too. But I will say from my recollection back on this, I never saw this until at home, probably in high school. So 16, 17 years old. So a few years later. I did not see this in 95 when it came out.
Sure.
Or even on video later on. I had seen this probably a couple years later. But like anyone else who's a film fan, you're just sort of blown away by this movie.
Totally.
It's unlike anything except maybe Silence of the Lambs, who came before it.
Yeah.
and Manhunter early in the late 80s. But like, it's so well done.
And what to me like has it stand out is, well, lots of different things, but one thing that like really struck me watching is like, I forgot how right away after they, find the gluttony victim.
Yeah.
But we don't know. I mean, I should say, as a viewer, you're going to this because the advertisements have said like it's about the 7 deadly sins.
You kind of know.
It's like you knew kind of what you're getting into.
But you don't see gluttony for another 20 minutes or so.
Yes.
Yeah.
But right away, Somerset knows this is a bigger thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that character piece of like, I'm retiring, I'm on the way out, but I've been here long enough that this is not some random killing.
Yeah.
This is not like, oh, like, okay, like a crime of passion or whatever. It's like, this is methodical.
Yeah.
And something is going on here. This is not what I signed up for. I'm done with this. The new guy should not be doing this. And right away to the audience, it signals this is a difference in kind. Where it's not just like, oh, like a slasher type of serial killer thing. It's, oh shit, something is bigger to this like focus. And that's where I love, like it starts to just, and you're right, like the score, slow, like just Howard Shore, like.
Yeah, and we'll come back to that a little
like
later.
Cello thing. Like, you start to feel like on edge the entire time. And there's moments of levity and like the character building. You're right. But we paused it, an hour and 20, almost an hour and 30 in. We're
for
like,
a 2-hour movie. Yeah.
We're like, they packed a lot in and we haven't even gotten to like the thriller aspect of it.
Yeah.
And so I love this, like again, we talked about it in different episodes. It takes its time and it's patient and it demands, hey, pay attention as a viewer.
Yeah.
We will tell you a great story.
Yeah.
Buckle up. But it's not like action, thriller, oh my gosh, edge of your seat. It's just a slow burn, which I love.
Yeah. 2 things. Number one, speaking of gluttony and 7 inches, I read a thing where the person who was in, there was a person like in that suit that was, what I mean? But it wasn't a real like fat person. It was a fat suit or whatever, that apparently Fincher felt sorry for him for having to be in this like fat suit all day and like sweating or whatever, that when they show him naked on the gurney, he made him more well endowed just to make the guy feel better about like, I mean, if I'm going to make you sit in,
the suit and
the sweater and die, at least we'll make your hog a little bit longer. Speaking of 7-inch and gluttony.
Oh my God. So great.
But no, I think like, anyway,
I was reading online. I thought that's so great.
I honestly forgot what you were talking about at that point. I was just thinking about penises.
Somerset, like knowing something's up right away.
No, it is. I actually really, speaking of Somerset and Mills, one thing that kind of stood out to me a little bit is they're both like. There's a scene later where they kind of make it seem like Mills is an optimist about like he's more of a pragmatist or whatever about the world and the detectives or whatever, But really, and again, it's important to note that Mills is not a rookie.
True.
Like he was on Homicide for 5 years, so he's seen some stuff wherever he was, upstate, whatever state it's in. But I think it's an interesting. You talk about when at the beginning, Somerset kind of sees this, and he doesn't think Mills can handle it, and he kind of doesn't want to handle it. Like he's like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Not that he's done with it, but he just kind of says, this is something different.
It's going to drag on.
I'm not ready for this, and he's not ready for this, so we're done. But they both end up on this case. And it's an interesting, like, I think they're both pessimists in their way. Like Mills definitely thinks the worst of the people who are the killers or the people they're searching for. He thinks the worst of them. They're crazy. They're nut jobs. They're all like dancing around and playing with themselves in feces and this kind of stuff. He thinks the worst of those people. He does not look at the world in a positive light. And neither does Somerset, but very differently. Very differently. Somerset sees it as I have evidence that the world sucks.
Yes.
And Mills is like, I have evidence that there's suck in the world. And I feel like it's like, so I really like that they didn't make Mills this sort of like, I'm going to catch a bad guy today, like optimist.
Pollyanna.
Like this is the world. He chose this, and even Somerset questions why did you choose this assignment?
Yeah.
This is the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
And he's like, I maybe can do some good, or I want to, that kind of stuff. But he is not an optimist.
No.
And I really like that they have that distinction between the two of them. They're different enough, but there's a unique, like, Somerset is more fascinated by the uniqueness of what they're going through.
Yep.
And I think that Mills is just thinking the guy's a nut. But they're both really intrigued by what's going on, but they both are pessimists about they know that something bad is happening here. And I really like that they didn't make this like Pollyanna, like you say.
Yeah, and that's what stands out to me is they are almost antagonistic to each other.
Yeah.
As main characters.
Black and white.
Ebony and Ivory.
Ebony and Ivory.
And yet, yes, when they get into some of these like discussion elements and details and fleshing out the characters, yes, I love the fact that Somerset is very much focusing on like, Mills, you cannot dismiss this as a crazy thing.
Yes. Like, yeah, it's not crazy.
No. It is.
You have to you almost have to respect
yes
the level of not determination, but like the
willpower. He says, willpower takes to like bound someone to a bed for a year.
Yeah,
to do this. Like,
I mean, I made it 3 months, and I was like, this is
tough.
This is tough.
And so, yeah, like Somerset's very much like this is not something you can dismiss, and yet Mills, in his way, is very much like I think grappling with I need something more than whatever I had before, whatever world they came from, which seems like, they, to the credit of the writing, like a very economical script of like when she mentions to him, the wife mentions to him, like, I thought we left the tractor pulls. Mm-hmm. And, when Somerset comes over for dinner and he's looking around and he sees Mills' medal on the mantelpiece.
Yeah.
Like looks at like, it's not, hey, like bright flashing lights, but you can piece the details together of whatever was happening before them coming here was a more bucolic, but probably not sufficient for Mills. He wanted something more.
What's bucolic?
Like peaceful. You're in like the middle of nowhere.
Cool, thank you.
Very
sounds like a disease.
Yeah,
but I got it.
Yeah,
all right.
No, like very much like a
for those dumber listeners out there. I knew what you were talking about.
I mean, just to clarify.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you need the big city feel. That's what he wants. And even then, he's like, really gung ho. Like I'm gonna take on this. I can don't like mess around with me. This is my first day of the rodeo kind of thing.
Yeah.
And yet, yes, when they have their like dialogue later in the bar, which I think to me, it was like kind of the crux of the film, where they're debating back and forth, where, Somerset is telling him like, it's easy to be apathetic.
Yeah.
It's far easier to do these things.
Yeah.
And Mills is pushing back like, I don't believe you're like this, man. I don't think you are. And it's such a great scene. But what really stuck out for me was like when Mills says, I can't. It's almost like this defense mechanism of I can't.
Yeah, I do not.
Yes, I will not lean into this cynicism of the world. And yet it's creeping in to him. And I agree. The two of them being so close to like the same side of a coin and yet different for the sake of the story where, brain versus brawn type of thing. It's so fantastic for two main characters driving this forward. Absolutely love it. And I think credit to Andrew Kevin Walker with the script.
Yep.
Like so fantastic with the tiny details that come together. So to that end,
I want to talk about the script. Are you moving on from the script?
I was going to pause to let you talk about the script. So
no, were you actually? Because I can come back to it, but
no, I was just like saying that to me, what was, I don't think I've ever actually like sat down and talked about like, why is this movie amazing? One piece is the complete attention to detail, but also the economy that he puts into this 2-hour script.
Yeah.
And delivers in every aspect.
Yeah.
To me. So what do you got?
No, I was just, I'm like I say, just because you brought it up.
Yeah.
It is hard to me to think about this screenplay. Like even in my initial notes when I was typing out like who wrote this and stuff, I thought this was an adaptation. Like, there was a part of me that was like, this has got to be an adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
There's too much attention to detail in a screenplay.
Sure.
Like, you talk about the award or the medal, and like these little things in the detail, which I understand are production. I understand some of that comes from it, but I thought this has to have been a book. Like, just has to have been. There's too much detail in this for it to be an original screenplay.
Yeah.
And, and then I'm looking at research and I'm like, oh no, it's an original screenplay.
Yes.
To that end of just saying, if this were an adaptation, it would have been like one of the most amazing adaptations we've ever seen. Or, like, is obviously like Zodiac later on, which is not him, but with David Fincher, like that's a really great adaptation. And we've talked about really great adaptations on here with LA Confidential, fill in the blanks of other ones we've talked about. We've had some really great screenplays here. This might be one of my favorite screenplays, and it's weird to me that it's an original screenplay. It's only Almost Famous, probably, and even then it's not entirely an original screenplay because it's based on his own experience.
True.
I would like to think this is not based on an experience for him. The fact to me that this was on the Oscars radar that year because it has the editing nomination.
Yeah.
This is the, oddly enough, 7th highest grossing film of 1995.
That's weird.
So obviously it's on the radar of the fans, it's on the radar of the Oscars. We're going to talk about other nominations here, but just like an original screenplay nomination, I don't even give a shit about what else was up for that year. You've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
This is one of the best screenplays ever.
And you're not going to, I think, compare in terms of like in the hindsight to Usual Suspects. In terms of like that one.
But not this year, did it? Was that 95?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
We're watching this year. So I agree. It's like.
Oh, yeah.
We are. So yeah, it's getting Spacey overload. But yeah. Like Macquarie, like unto itself, incredible.
Yeah, I'm not saying.
I agree.
It should have.
But the fact of like it wasn't up is insane.
You feel like, what?
Yes.
Like, what else was up that year?
Yeah. And
I'm looking
think.
At it now. I bet Babe was up that year.
That'd be great.
Not
even
that came out
that from a book. But,
and it is adapted, but I don't give a shit. But you're just kind of like, I guarantee you there's going to be at least one that I'm going to go, yeah, this is better than that.
Well, and it won't matter for the like grand scheme of things, but there's a book that came out the last 10 years, I forget.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it was written by the author who helped or worked with Michael Mann on Heat 2.
Oh, okay.
And she wrote a book called Unsub. Like,
oh, yeah.
And it was basically a murder mystery around, spoiler, the 7 deadly sins.
Yeah.
And about like 5 like chapters in, I'm like, oh crap.
There's 2 that we're gonna.
Yeah, I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, it's been done better in 7.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that to me is such an indication of the great work that Andrew Kevin Walker did, where it felt different, it felt fresh, and it could have been really dumb.
Yeah.
If you think about it, and again, Unsub is an example that's like, but take a premise, and I'm going to have a killer that has a focus to the killing, but I'm going to flesh out in no way some origin story.
No, we don't. We're not forced with who this person is.
No idea who this guy is until an hour and a half in.
Yeah, but
in
the end, we don't know who it is. No. We don't know their name. We don't know the motive. Yes. We don't know nothing. Like,
well, we get the motive.
Well, we get the like crazy motive, but not like the real where this person comes from motive.
But it would be, a lesser movie would have had it like threaded through everything of like, oh, this thing that like, no, this is just what's happening is the focus on the 7 deadly sins. So
the 5?
Yes.
So Usual Suspect, obviously, I'm not even going to talk about that. Yep. Macquarie. Yep. Braveheart, original nominee.
Yep.
Okay. Toy Story, original nominee.
I get it.
I'm not going to say this is a better screenplay than that, but okay.
Sure.
I get it.
I get it.
The 2 that we immediately will put this above are Mighty Aphrodite by Woody Allen.
Oh, God.
Because just everything in the 80s and 90s got nominated for Woody Allen.
Yes.
Including Father of the Year. And then, for those who know, and then Nixon by Oliver Stone and a couple other people.
Really?
Yeah. Those 2 were nominated over this. And you're just like, okay, you're going to tell me that those 2 movies, like, we're not covering those 2 movies.
No.
Look, I don't listen to podcasts, but I'm on podcast TikTok and shit like that. Yeah. Ain't fucking nobody talking about Mighty Aphrodite and Nixon 20 years on.
No.
Braveheart,
30.
Usual Suspects, and Toy Story?
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
Again, also banger year of 1995, by the way.
Great year.
But
Yes.
like those three,
That's
sure.
absurd.
Nobody's covering like Nixon and Mighty Aphrodite. So
Yes.
swing and a miss.
Yes.
The Academy on that one.
Absolutely.
We're going to talk about others in a second, but you can continue on from what we were talking about.
So I love the fact that, again, from the screenplay perspective, but just the idea that John Doe, the bad guy, clearly had clearly had a plan for at least a year because of what's laid out with Sloth. And in no way could have planned in that effort that Mills would be transferred or like seek to come in.
Yeah.
And so I love the fact that there's a catalyst that changes his plan.
Yeah.
And what that does for the screenplay, what it does for the tension that builds, it is like, oh, a well-played, or well-planned element for a year gets thrown off in the third day, fourth day.
Yeah.
And I love that the script shows the bad guy with all his master plan having to pivot.
Yeah.
And to me, that is such a great character element for John Doe, where like, I got to figure it out. I've been planning it forever because clearly he's got, times beforehand. Now he's going to exact it and like put it into place. And now day one, shit, things go sideways.
Yeah.
Little pieces to come together. And that's where I think ups the tension.
Yeah.
Where it's not just like these pawns in this game. As an audience member, you're like, oh shit, what's going to happen? How is this pivoting? Where, they find this guy's apartment and him calling to be like, I got to ramp up my schedule.
Yeah.
It's the first indication that things have not gone to plan.
Yeah.
Which I love, that feeling of like uncertainty as a viewer. Like, oh shit, what's going to happen? Like, just incredible details.
Yeah, I asked myself, the one thing that's great about the screenplay is you start to ask yourself questions like, are there still two other victims?
Yeah, right? You're like, really?
Is apathy and wrath,
Envy and wrath.
Envy and wrath still out there?
Yeah.
But they catch him, and so he feels envy towards Mills for being like, Mills and Somerset. These guys have bested sort of my plan.
Yeah.
Or put a wrench in it.
Yeah.
And you wonder if he's holding the gun to Mills's head there. And is that where he's like, wait a minute here. I got an idea.
Yes.
And he pulls away. Because he could have just plugged him and moved on, and his master plan would have still been there.
Yes.
But is that where that moment of like, if I kill him, then my other two victims, it's no longer 7 victims.
It doesn't align
or whatever.
with my
It doesn't
plan.
align with my plan.
Yes.
So,
and we don't know that as an audience member.
Yeah, exactly. You start to ask your questions. Yep.
Absolutely. When you watch, you're like, he totally didn't kill him, because it's like, this is not part of my plan, but I can use this to pivot.
I still wonder, though, is that his apartment? Like,
yeah, let's talk about that. Like,
I just kind of want to go like, part of me wants to believe that he's uses it for his whatever he's doing. It's his man cave or his crazy cave or whatever you want to call it. But is that really where he lives? Like, he seems too educated. He's got too much money. Obviously, we have no idea where it comes from. He's got way too much money. I'm not saying he's living in some lush apartment.
No.
But is he really living in there? Is that really, like, I feel like that maybe he goes there and then he goes home. Like, that's his office.
Yeah.
I don't know, obviously, but it just doesn't, to me, it fits with the crazy person.
Correct.
Not the well thought out mastermind of a serial killer. Like, it doesn't quite fit. And that's where I think I agree. I don't think he expected them to be there when he went there.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's necessarily his apartment. He's like, I live here and shower here and want to be around these people as my neighbors. I live here.
I definitely feel like there's a great, like, when you ask them in the movie, like, I never actually thought about that.
Me either. And I think that is a testament, again, to the screenplay, because it leaves things open. They make it seem like That's where he lives.
Yes.
But that's like the red fluorescent cross on the wall.
Yes.
With the awful bed.
Yes.
Like, I just go, do we really think this person who, like, I believe he went there to develop the photos that he was taking, and he did all this stuff, and he does that, but does he sleep there? Does he really, like, live there?
Yeah.
I'm not sold.
I am very curious to think about, like, so he's paying for the sloth.
Yeah, he's got plenty of
apartment.
money to be able to pay for these other apartments, and
so it's not a stretch to say, okay, he would have maybe his, like, and even, like, say, like, you know, anything we know about him is he's, like, independently wealthy, well-read, and clinically insane or whatever it is. So, yeah, like, what's to say he doesn't have the financial ability to pay for an apartment that meets his, like, terrible need, pay for the sloth, and then his normal, like, day in, day out, like, here's how I live.
And was this could it have been the final, like, reveal of, like, the last couple killers, and then maybe the final death is in that apartment?
Yeah.
I don't know if Wrath or Envy or necessarily Wrath, maybe. It seems like a Wrath-filled apartment with all he's got there. So you just kind of go, like, maybe he was supposed to die in that apartment. Maybe that was going to be his thing. Now, I don't know. But it leaves these open-ended questions that are really... A bad screenplay leaves them because you're like, oh, you didn't even explain this. You didn't explain this. You explained this. But I think this screenplay is so good because you go, you didn't explain those things, and now it allows my mind within the world that you created to wander, and it can make sense. Like, my random brain misfire in the movie, I was like, is that his apartment? It makes sense. Like, it's within that world.
I never actually thought about thinking... when we're talking about this, like, everything else outside of Envy and Wrath absolutely had a clear plan to it.
Up until that moment, there was a clear plan.
And maybe, like, not so much the moment, but, like, who the victims would be. I have full confidence that Wrath was always, John Doe was going to be the recipient of that wrath.
When
he's saying something will be talked about, like, I firmly believe, like, John Doe saw himself, even Somerset kind of gave him a little shit about, like, feeling like a martyr. Like, I will be the recipient of this sin.
Yeah.
And this will be what's talked about. But I'm curious who the Envy was in his plan.
Yeah. Because he can't plan that it would have been...
He can't plan for Somerset.
It couldn't have been
Mills.
Or either one.
Yeah.
You don't know who's going to be assigned to your case. Like, there's no way you could know those two things. Like, you could not know who is assigned to your case.
And so then thinking through what would have, because very likely whoever the Envy element would be, like, in many ways would have to be this thing that would cause the wrath, if you will. And it works. The last sequence we'll talk about is incredible. But yeah, who would have been the agent? Okay.
Yeah. What was the original plan? Again, it leaves it open.
Yes.
That's really well done.
And to the apartment piece, I love how it builds this, again, patient piece of a random comment by Mills saying, hey, you know, some fucker with a library card. And Somerset's like, wait, let's go through that. And then builds this up. And then you think, oh, okay, the FBI is doing this, and they flesh it out. And they go to the random apartment sequence. And they have to have something to break the tension, but also build the suspense.
Yeah.
Where, like, oh, now we're going to have a chase sequence. I actually think this is one of the best chase sequences ever.
Yeah. It's on foot,
chaos.
especially.
Yes, true. Like, it's chaos. It is the first moment where Somerset, after having talked with Tracy about being pregnant.
Yeah.
I love the fact that, like, you never get a glimpse of them caring about each other until, especially Somerset, when Mills tries to go after him, and Somerset says, Mills. Like, he starts to think, like, oh, shit. This is a difference in kind, where it was like, oh, damn it. And so they're all over the place. They're in different areas.
Yeah.
There's no clear idea that Mills knows, like, oh, he's going here. It is a fantastic foot sequence and chase where they're running through it, and it just, you're on the edge of your seat thinking, oh, shit. And I absolutely love that sequence where they're, Mills feels like I got this guy. I got this guy.
Oh yeah, that's where he's
no
the
problem.
young.
Yes,
Yep.
no big deal. And then almost dies, and then feels like what builds up to me is I love Somerset being like, how did we get here?
Yeah,
no, man. Like, you can't bring this in. Like, what are you doing?
Think.
Yeah. Again, bringing into great relief the two characters.
Yeah.
Of like clinical, very methodical. We'll go with this focus, and the impulse, emotional aspects of Mills just comes to fruition right there. And then this Mills kicks the door, and I'm like, I guess we'll figure
We'll
something
find,
out.
we'll find a drug addict to help us out.
It's so fantastic. I love that chase sequence.
I have one other just sort of, I have a couple of notes, but I want just on the Oscars talk. It really is somewhat surprising. No makeup nod. Like, let's all spare a thought that sloth is a real human in there. Dude. Is a 96-pound dude who lost 6 pounds before the movie.
Jesus.
I didn't write his name down. Like, that alone was great makeup because we believed he was dead.
Yeah.
And it's a real person. You to the point where you just assume it's a puppet of some kind.
Yes.
No, real person. Even the gluttony guy. I mean, like that. Plenty of makeup in terms of the arm being, or the hand being gone.
Yes.
Really, I didn't look it up. I don't really give a shit. That's gotta be just that full body makeup on the sloth alone, and then gluttony with the fat guy. Like, really kind of surprising. But overall, I do look back at this and I go, it's a little surprising considering Silence of the Lambs was just a couple years before.
Yep.
It's not unprecedented that the Academy had a quote unquote horror or suspense movie on their radar. Cinematography is outstanding in this. If you don't want to go director and picture, I guess I understand. We'd have to look at what else is up there. Obviously, Braveheart was up that year. Sense and Sensibility and others.
Apollo 13.
Apollo 13, which, yeah, of course. We know how I feel about that. I feel like it was ahead of its time. Like,
absolutely.
You just go, now a movie like this is like Oscar bait almost. You almost feel like it's, you just go, oh, okay, but 30 years ago? No, the fact that it's only got an editing nod and not screenplay, not makeup, in our opinion, obviously not director or picture, but even cinematography is outstanding. Really kind of surprising that it didn't get more sort of love from the Academy.
Yeah. I don't think they knew what to do with it, which is weird to say like 4 years after Silence of the Lambs.
That's what I'm saying. And it's not, again, it'd be really make sense if there was no precedent.
Yes.
Now, this is darker than Silence of the Lambs.
True.
But it's not at the same time. Like, there's so little violence in this movie.
Yeah, you don't.
And it's not even gory. There's a couple of things, but that's short of Sloth. If you take Sloth out of it, what's really sort of like disturbing?
Yeah.
In terms of visually. Yeah. It's all off screen.
And you see one
John Doe, by the way, kills technically 6 people. Well, 7, depending on your view of babies or not.
True.
Because he's killed 6 people. Yes. He's the 7th victim. Yes. He's killed 6.
Yes.
None of the murders have. The only murder we see is Mills killing him.
Yes.
So this isn't a violent movie.
Nope.
It's not really that gory.
Nope.
It's not unprecedented.
And you see flashes of the violence through the pictures.
There's disturbing images for sure, but not like, come on.
Yes, it's far worse. Like in some movies.
Schindler's List was 1993.
True.
You see way worse.
Absolutely.
In a historical epic.
True. Yes.
Than this.
It's not that crazy.
Yeah.
So I've got a few things here. So, Helen joked, I love the unending rain.
Yeah, man. Actually, I didn't realize they had done that for a reason, but yeah, I love it.
Yeah, like just atmospheric. We're going to have it be unending rain. So it feels like this, like stop, like gloom and just, even this bright sunshine until.
But for those of us not in the room, they did consciously choose to do that.
Yeah.
Because they chose to say, we're going to have it rain all the time for ambiance, but also if it's raining all the time, we never have to worry about outdoor shooting because a lot of it is outside.
Yep.
We never have to worry about dealing with bad weather.
Yep.
We can always make it rain fake.
Yep.
or if it is raining for real, then cool, we can save some money. So
good.
they decided to do that.
Yes.
Until the ending.
And until Doe turns himself in.
Yeah.
Which is great. It's like, oh, now we feel like there's less of that like oppressive like gloom, and yet shit, it is tense after that.
Yeah, it feels weird at that point. It feels
like,
weird
how
to
is
not
this?
have rain going on.
Yes. I think I made another like, so like with John Doe's apartment, do you think there's like a weird like element where Fincher, production designer, set designer, like, hey, it's a safe space, guys. Just make it weird as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you give carte blanche to people? Be like, but it's okay if you are really weird.
Yeah.
Judgment free. Make it really awful.
Yeah.
Like, I just love the idea that they're like in a production meeting, like, there's no bad idea.
I appreciate they didn't have a headless doll or something. Some sort of weird, stereotypical, or no clowns.
Yeah.
I guess the budget, they spent $15,000 on notebooks.
Or just some dude writing nonstop.
But
like,
they bought a bunch of notebooks that also were like used notebooks or whatever, and
Sure.
then they tore out the pages and then sewed them together. So it was actually random. It wasn't even like the ones he's reading and the ones you see on screen are obviously strategic, because if you pause it and read it or whatever,
you can read it.
but I guess they just but I saw the budget, they had spent $15,000 on notebooks.
That's so great.
Yeah.
So seeing this after having an appreciation for Alien 3.
Sure. I am not here for any Alien 3 hate.
Oh,
no.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It was definitely a first time I felt like watching a movie at that time in my life thinking, whatever this director does, I will sign up for.
Sure.
Like, to me,
I saw that later, but I get your point. Yeah.
Like, to me, Fincher felt like, oh, whatever this guy's doing feels different to what I've experienced. I mean, we loved Spielberg growing up, and like we had
totally different
that type of like experience, like Cameron, like these ones, like, oh, cool. Like, this was that type of feeling like not like a legacy. We are getting caught up to their catalog. It felt like in real time. I remember seeing Alien 3 at a friend's house being terrified, and then seeing this be like, shit, Fincher is the guy that I would love to watch his stuff.
Yeah, Fincher, Nolan, Guillermo del Toro, Alfonso Cuarón as that came along. PTA for sure. Like, of our sort of generation, you have these like 5-6 guys who have come along, and I'd have to think about more off the top of my head, but Michael Bay, obviously. But like, but like there's a lot of these auteur sort of directors that got their mainstream. Now Fincher came from music videos,
true,
but like these sort of like directors who got their mainstream chance and took it and ran with it.
Yep.
And that was all from that sort of like time frame around that sort of mid 90s to early 2000s, and we're still talking about them today. They are driving the film industry today. So yeah, I mean, I don't remember consciously thinking that with Fincher. I probably did more with like Fight Club a little bit later.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I don't even know what to go with that.
Well,
but
like I remember seeing The Game of Fincher being like, and it was like,
do you feel like this, like The Game, if they had made this PG-13, it would feel like The Game.
Yes.
Like the look of it, because The Game is super dark and super brooding. But it's PG-13.
Yes.
I think. It might be R, but like
a light R.
Because of language. There's no, but even that, I actually think it's PG-13. It feels like, it's kind of like The Game NC-17. Like, if they really took The Game all the way there.
Like, we're going to destroy your life.
Yeah,
type of thing.
exactly.
Yes. Okay, 2 more thoughts.
I have a couple as well.
So, speaking of, like, silence.
Whoa!
But other kind of similar vein movies, what stands out to me, and I love this movie, is so many lesser bullshit movies, which again I think are based on books or other crap, is
or other crap.
Well, like
you're the book reader.
Like the big reveal is, oh my God, the killer has been the police chief all along.
Yeah, killer's in the house or whatever.
Yes, like we know the character.
Yeah.
But because of their efforts, somehow related to everything else, some big reveal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some dude, an hour and a half in, walks himself into the police station.
Yeah.
And says, detectives, he screams it, "You're looking for me."
Yeah.
And I still remember in the film, like, holy fuck. Like, who's this guy? What are they going to do? And then, oh my God. And yeah, they go, oh, it was the guy and the, the photographer and the, like, sure, it's been hinted at, but there's no basis for that character.
There's no big
element.
reveal.
Yes.
No, yeah.
It's just like,
it's not Rolo Tomasi,
which
or
unto itself
Kaiser
is great.
Soze.
Yes.
Or like, we're gonna get to Kevin Spacey in a second
Yes.
for me, but like, there are real, like, sort of like, oh my God, reveals.
What? Yes.
So you're like, okay, I
Which
get it.
are
We didn't
great
have
for those
an
things.
understanding of who this was.
No,
yeah.
it's just, which I think is such a perfect
It's great
example of, like, I think of, like, whatever, like, I'm not a police officer, obviously. But it's probably more realistic to the real world of, like, some random dude is doing this shit.
Yeah.
Either we find him or they turn, or whatever happens.
Yeah, the dude isn't going to be somebody we know in our existence.
Yes. And it's just like, that to me makes this movie stand out.
Yeah.
Where it is truly like, if he didn't turn himself in, they would have never found him.
Speaking of this, and this is off topic, do you remember the movie The Bone Collector?
Yes.
Right? Because the dude who, I can't remember his name, he bleeped the prostitute with the
he's
leather.
the lust.
Yeah. He's the dude.
Yeah.
But like in The Bone Collector, I remember being like, that's the killer.
Yep.
Not only because it's in the preview, you can hear his voice, and if you have it, but so that's the side of the point. But there's just times where you go, and that's where Hollywood has failed us.
Yes.
Where you're like, I am programmed to believe somebody in the room is the killer. So now I'm going to work this out.
Yes.
To find out who.
Correct.
And that's where this is so well done.
Yes.
Because it's not captain. It's not the captain.
What?
It's not, it's not Somerset. It's not, you just go like, it is a random freaking dude.
Yes.
It is really rare in mainstream film to have it be an actual random dude and not like some sort of big reveal.
Yeah.
Really well. Really impressive.
Which maybe, like, again, that's why it works for Silence, where, like, you see Buffalo Bill.
Yeah, Buffalo Bill comes out of nowhere.
Yes.
Yes.
And she finds him, like, as an interview, like, hey, like, he's like, you mean the big fat girl, whatever? Like, oh shit. Like, right now, this is the bad guy.
Yes.
And that's where I think we talked about the Red Dragon in a different episode, where it's like, if they had just not had the reveal that the bad guy is Ray Fiennes.
Yes.
It could have been so much better.
Oh, there's plenty of examples of that. Yeah.
But all lesser movies do that, where the audience is like, it's a whodunit, got to figure it out. Oh, you put the pieces together. This movie ain't got time for that shit.
Again, off topic. This came up on TikTok for me. Ransom. Ransom to me is the all-time number one fuck up of a reveal. If they had just withheld Gary Sinise being the bad guy, it would have been, I would have pissed my pants like that kid in the theater.
It's the guy.
It's the guy.
Yes.
So many movie studios fuck this up. It is beyond annoying.
Totally agree.
And so when a film has the cognizant understanding to say, we're not going to do that.
Yes.
It's beyond impressive.
And to me, this is the best example of it.
Yeah.
To me, of like, here's a bad guy. We've got this like random phone call. We see him in the hallway at some point. And then no, he just shows up because his master plan is, I'm turning myself in.
Yeah.
And I know what I'm doing. Yep. So here I am.
Did you know that the ending actually was supposed to be different? Or not? So originally written, it was what we saw.
My other note was about the ending. So we want to talk about it?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, yeah. No. So I had no idea.
Okay, again, it was written
spoiler.
This way. It was written this way.
Yeah.
The way it's in the film, it's written, and that's how it was done.
Yeah.
And that's what got Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman and David Fincher on board.
Which is great.
Right. And the studio eventually wanted them to change it to Paltrow's character.
Tracy,
thank you. She gets kidnapped and they go to rescue her.
Oh, terrible.
Right. And so they kind of had a rewrite and that kind of stuff. But actually, Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman both went to the studio and said, we will leave this project if you do this.
I love that.
And I think Fincher did too as well. And so like Kevin Walker,
yeah.
He had a hard time selling the script. Shockingly, not really. And
yeah, not surprising.
Because he thought people would try and change. And then Fincher had a terrible experience with Alien 3 with the
Totally.
studio trying to change shit all the time, and they
Yes.
did it, and it was bad, and this kind of stuff. And so both Fincher and Andrew Kevin Walker were really mad, and Friedman and Brad Pitt said, we're leaving if you change this. Like, we are out.
That's so great.
And it's so great to me from an ending standpoint. So continue what you were going to talk about from an ending.
Because the ending for me is an all-time classic ending.
It's yeah.
Like you do not see it coming.
Yeah.
No,
you absolutely, anyone who ever says they see, like,
the
you
fact of,
know,
like, something's bad's
you
gonna
know a
happen.
twist is coming.
Yes.
But what that twist is, nobody sees it coming.
And that is such a rarity in Hollywood where you're sitting there being like, no way they did that.
Right. Yeah.
There's no way. I truly remember being in the theater and people fucking gasped, which I had never seen before, where people were like, oh my God.
Yeah, you don't kill Blythe Danner's kid or whatever.
Yeah.
You
Like
don't do that.
when Somerset opens the box and he's like,
yeah,
John Doe's up a hand.
Yeah. And we don't know what's in there.
No.
By the
We have
way,
no idea.
I want to watch this movie so badly with somebody who's not seen it.
Yeah.
Because up until he says, I took her head, you do not know what's in there.
Yo. And so when Somerset's like,
so good.
Oh shit, he's in control. Like, put down your gun. Like,
I
stop.
understand. Yep.
And it gives me chills every time when Somerset runs over and is like pleading with Mills, like, this is what he wants. This is what he wants. And then, God, it's so great when Mills starts to realize, like, oh shit, it's her head in a box.
Yep.
Like, Trace is dead. When fucking John Doe's like, and she begged for the life of her
baby
unborn
inside her. Yeah.
And Somerset slaps him.
Yep.
And Mills is like, what the hell? And again, we'll talk about Kevin Spacey maybe. Like,
oh, I'm going to.
His ability of his looking at me like, oh, he didn't know.
Yeah.
Like, it's this bonding of a villain with Somerset being like, you slapped me because you knew what happened.
Yeah, you knew.
You know
He
what
didn't
happened.
know.
He didn't fucking know.
Yeah.
It is one of the all-time, like, again, people in the theater fucking lost their mind. They were like, what? Like, it was silent, but yet people were like gasping. It was, I remember seeing it be like, holy shit. And that, but to the ending, Fincher, whoever writing, whatever.
Yeah.
And it comes up in Fight Club, like the brief glimpse of something when Tracy's
edit
image pops up.
Yeah.
And you know, oh fuck.
Yep.
Mills gonna kill
It's done. Yep.
Boom.
That
like,
edit, and it's the only time in the movie a flash edit happens.
Yes.
It's the only time. Like,
it is.
Yeah. Well done.
Like, next level.
Yep.
Commitment to this is what we're going for. This is the story, and this is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
It is like bleak as hell, but I don't ever feel like depressed or bad about it for some reason.
No.
Maybe I'm weird inside, but like,
it's
earned. Like it works so well of this bad guy. And like, it's all the great people we like come to enjoy. Everything is bad for them, but it's not like depressing. If that
and
makes
also,
sense.
I mean, the like intelligent frontal lobe ability to think is also kind of impressed by this. Like, there's a certain level of, I mean,
like a cerebral,
takes some dedication, man. Like, I'm not going to say I would do it, but
no,
I mean, well played, sir.
Because
like,
it's earned by the conversation on the way out there.
Yeah.
In the car. Where it's the brief exposition of John Doe being like, you think like these are sinners.
These are not innocent people.
Innocent? Yeah. It's just, and so him,
because he's not wrong either.
No.
Like, he's just not wrong.
And the whole fact of, again, John Doe's like, I tried to play, housewife or house husband to this, and it wasn't for me.
Can't do it.
So I took her pretty head.
Oh,
Jesus.
I want to just say, I think Howard Shore's score is good.
Yes.
It's not like, oh my God, amazing.
Sure.
It's good. It really ramps up the suspense in the last 20 minutes.
Yep.
Like, it really
Tense as hell.
heavy horns and all that kind of stuff. It's really good. I cannot help but think, what would this movie be with a Trent Reznor and Atticus Finch score? Like, with how good they are in the future Fincher films.
Yes.
And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and other various, even this last year with Challengers, that score was outstanding. they're so good. I cannot help but think how good this score. Like when you see the beginning with the Nine Inch Nails song,
Yes.
and you're like, oh, this would be so cool. It's a well done score by Howard Shore, but the only sort of, and it's not a knock. The only thing I could say like could be better here is that sort of like industrial, like Nine Inch Nails style score,
Gritty.
especially in that mid to late 90s Nine Inch Nails.
Yes.
Bro.
Yeah.
Like that would be awesome.
It would
be
be
awesome
incredible,
having
yes.
that in the background.
Totally.
I mean, it would also be like, I don't know if my heart can take this anymore.
But I think about, we covered it in 3 episodes. Knowing what we know now, I remember at the time hearing that Howard Shore, who really I had knowledge of like a little bit, but especially from 7, he's going to do the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. And
I'm
you
like,
do hear some of that though,
what?
with the horns and
a little
stuff.
bit.
Yeah.
But you're like, how is that dude, who's
Yeah.
like pretty much atmospheric guy, going to do this? So
Yeah.
kudos, like he
did a good job.
stepped
He
up.
did a good job.
But I agree. Relative to this, I totally agree. Like
Yeah.
if you could have, in hindsight,
The way this movie looks and feels
yes.
does not feel like a Howard Shore.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
We are well beyond our normal time, so
It's
I apologize for those.
it's a
But
top movie.
I got to talk about, look,
Okay.
do you have anything else?
That's it.
Okay, look, I want it made very clear that I am not defending Kevin Spacey in any way, shape, or form.
Human
We talked
being-
about this
nope.
with LA Confidential.
Yep.
We'll talk about it with Usual Suspects.
Yes.
But we have covered him now in a few movies and also discussed him in terms of The Usual Suspects, which we'll talk later.
Yes.
But honestly, is there a better actor from the era than him?
At the time.
From that mid
Of those
90s
roles?
to early 2000s, like, fucking comic roles.
Yes.
Bad guys, good guys.
Yes.
Anti-heroes like in American Beauty.
Yes.
Like, you cannot deny his talent. This is like defending Bill Cosby to me.
It did
like,
feel weird.
If you watch the Cosby Show, it is an all-time great show.
We grew up on it. It was
It's
amazing.
an all-time great show.
Yes.
Like, and you have to be able to separate those two things because talent does not equal integrity.
Yeah.
Or talent does not equal any kind of moral compass of any kind. Those are two separate things. Talent, I'm sure, through Shakespeare's time was not tied to quality of a human being. But God damn it, he is so good in everything he does.
Yes.
Tell me a Kevin Spacey performance that has been bad, and I will call you a liar.
K-Pax, but that's
K-Pax is actually not.
You shut your mouth.
K-Pax is a not great movie, but
I'll give you that. Yeah.
he is not bad in
No,
it.
he's fine. Yeah.
Like I just say, like, and at this time in 1995, he comes off of Outbreak, a vastly under-remembered movie.
True.
In terms of like how great that is, and then what we're looking at now in the modern times.
Yes.
He's great in that movie.
Morgan Freeman
Also.
Yep.
And he was supposed to get top billing in this movie. Well, not top billing, but like sort of first billing.
Yeah.
And he says to them, which is a little odd, by the way, because I read this, and he was hired on like 8 days before production started.
Weird.
So it seems a little weird. But by the time it comes around to post-production, they're going to put Kevin Spacey first, and Kevin Spacey says, hold up, y'all.
Yo.
Don't put me in the credits at the
They're
beginning.
waiting for me.
Right.
Yes.
And I also did not know that, generally speaking, the people who are in the beginning credits tend to be on the press circuits. So there's an interview I saw of him that said, the fun part of this is I also don't have to do the press junkets for the movie.
Well played. Yes.
But he gets double billing in the back. He gets the very first credit,
Yes.
and then he gets in the order of appearance credits.
Yes.
I really hate that we have to have, rightfully so, the conversation about people like Kevin Spacey. Like, I have to justify this person versus the art.
Sure.
But I'll be goddamned. He is good in, especially in this time frame.
Totally.
He is good in everything he does. I just watched Margin Call again. He's in that, which you haven't seen. Get off your ass. He's great in that. Like, he is great in everything he does.
Yes. So,
to an annoying standpoint, I have to watch this Kevin Spacey movie, and I feel bad about enjoying Kevin Spacey's performance.
I mean, so feel free to judge as a listener. All good. To each their own. I still fucking love Michael Jackson songs. Like,
yeah. Oh, no, I totally.
Like,
yeah.
So great.
Yeah.
Some R. Kelly.
There's plenty of artists,
yes,
like painters over the years who have had,
yeah.
like, You want to talk about 1800s? Like, I'm sure.
I'm not condoning it, nor like say, hey, like, fine. I agree. Like, hearing the stuff of Kevin Spacey, you're like, cool. You're kind of a piece of shit human being.
As far as
from what's been alleged. That being said, growing up, seeing, I had no concept of who this actor was.
None
before this.
Mid 90s, I had no idea,
and it was like, holy shit! Like what he does with just his face, and we'll talk about Usual Suspects.
Oh,
and then yes, we talked about in different episodes like American Beauty, like.
We talked
so
about
incredible.
LA Confidential. He's great.
Oh,
yeah. We already talked
my
about
God,
that. Yes.
so good. And like The Negotiator, like just fan fucking tastic late 90s of like, oh, this dude is incredible. But him as John Doe and his speech, like I truly remember the time you're like, dear God, this guy's good. Because he came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And so I agree. Like
I know. You kind of have to apologize for being like,
I mean,
to a certain extent, you in the obviously modern woke America.
I'm okay being woke. I'm woke.
Yeah, are you? I just it gets old because you just go. I shouldn't have to explain to somebody that I am able to differentiate the person from the art.
Yeah,
like I work with people on a day-to-day basis who are the biggest dumb motherfuckers on the planet, but they're nice people. That doesn't because you're terrible at your job doesn't mean you're a bad person.
Yeah.
So why is the reverse something I have to apologize for?
Yeah.
You're not a great person, but you're great at your job.
Yeah.
I should not have to apologize for at least acknowledging. Fuck, man, I love watching a good Kevin Spacey movie. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. And to that, and like mentioning Freeman before, but like Freeman just kills it in this.
Yeah.
He's so great. And Pitt is like coming into like, forget the like golden, like marquee, like, what's a freaking like, not Days of Thunder. Jesus Christ.
What are you talking about? Thelma and Louise?
Legend of the Fall. Like, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And
like,
actually, one of the reasons why he picked this movie was because he wanted to get away from the over schmaltz of Legend of the
and
Fall.
like, his like beauty is like great. And of course, he's unto himself is amazing. But like, you can definitely feel in 95, Pitt's like, I'm doing a hard pivot.
Well, yeah. We'll talk about that next episode too. Yeah.
For this, and with Freeman together, just they're so great.
Yeah.
So great.
So if you tuned in to listen to us disagree about a movie, you have wasted the last hour and 10 minutes of your life. Because that was not going to happen. No. So, all right.
I'm going up there. I'm going to try it. I'm going to let the jury decide.
As we close out our spotlight segment, we come to our final takes called The Verdict.
If we are to have faith and justice, we need only to believe in ourselves.
This is where Tim and I give our final verdicts after rewatching the film and decide whether or not the movie held up over the course of 2 decades.
Now you get out of here before I call a bailiff and have you thrown in jail!
This is The Verdict.
I said to hell with it, to hell with it!
All right, well, unsurprisingly, this film holds up and then some. Seven is a perfect thriller that does what the best of them do. It takes a premise, engages us right away, then builds and never lets go. All building towards an all-time great ending. Like Silence of the Lambs having an old friend for dinner, the movie also ends on a perfectly memorable note. There is not a weak link in the film. From a vastly underrated screenplay to the visionary direction and terrific performances across the board, the film is a classic example of what filmmakers do when they can make films they believe in. If Fight Club is a stereotypical film bro film, Seven is a stereotypical film lover's film. It is a true masterpiece that continues to impress. I have 5 out of 5 on this one.
Nice. So I'm prepared to say this is one of my top 10 favorite films.
Ooh.
Maybe top 5.
There you go. Ooh, all right.
In terms of the caliber and the execution and like just a massive appreciation I have for it.
Yeah.
So the film, however, is not for the faint of heart, nor a film I can necessarily like blanket recommend.
Yeah, you can't. No, absolutely not.
But we joked about someone like in the movie watching, but like for me, and I think for you too, Seven is the rare perfect film.
Pretty damn close.
Mixing elements of thriller, mystery, and like light horror, I would say, almost off-screen horror.
It's off-screen for sure. Yeah.
The result is an unrelentingly dark commentary on the world with all-time stellar work from Fincher, the director, Freeman, and Pitt. And again, I got to throw in Spacey too.
You have to.
There are moments, however, few as they are, of light, but truly, the ending is one of the greatest gut punches. Yet the overall film is a non-stop, incredible film. And the final line gets me every time, that despite the worst of the world, it is still worth fighting for. I agree.
What did it say? I don't know. I agree with the second part.
Yeah. The world is a fine place and we're fighting for it.
I agree with the second part.
I agree with the second part. Yep. It's just, I'd love you mentioned, so great ending. Absolutely 5 out of 5.
Come on, not my beer.
With our reactions and verdicts to the movie out of the way, we move on to the reactions to our beers that we drank while rewatching our subject movie.
And if you want to have sex with a disgusting bad brewer with a terrible attitude,
this is where we take a look back at our beers and give our expert ratings for our drinking buddies.
Ugh, whatever. Hey, here's the truth.
This is Drinking Buddies.
Let's get weird.
We're muted.
Beers.
What now?
Knockdown beers.
Okay, should I pause? No, wait. Let's do Drinking Buddies. There we go.
So, somewhat recently, we ventured.
Yeah, a month ago. And when it comes to editing, this will probably air 4 months from now at this point, but whatevs. In late March, early April of 2025.
We ventured for spring break as a big old family.
And who doesn't go to spring break in St. Louis?
It was a great time.
No, it was. Yeah,
so we went to St. Louis, and we decided, let's bring some beers back.
You did. Yeah, I appreciate you doing that.
True, I did.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's a global we situation here.
We started the evening with, so these are all from St. Louis region.
Yeah.
Some we had from some company. It's a new one. 2 of them tonight. But anyway, Four Hands Brewing, which we had for a few. We actually had for $1 Million Baby.
We've had 1 or 2 before.
Yes,
but we did not realize what we were missing.
It's
from a brewery standpoint. Which I'm a little mad you didn't bring the red back. But that's fine.
I couldn't find it where I went.
Mother!
I know. Where I stopped to get stuff. I'm like, great.
Oh, God.
No. Yes. So, alas. So, yes, Four Hands out of St. Louis. They're huge there. They're kind of I guess.
It'd be like Surly.
Yes, true. And they were fantastic. So you can find them, grade them, get them. Tonight we had their Hot Slice IPA, their red IPA.
It was a red IPA, was it?
Yes.
Okay, because I thought it was like a red, and I saw IPA. I was like, this is like a red.
Yeah, it had a bite to it and everything. So I'm like, let's give it a shot. Yeah, the red IPA. I had a 3.75.
Sure.
It was a nice start. It was a very clean, it actually had a collaboration with Schnucks Markets, where we bought most of our beers that time.
There we go.
It's a collab for them.
Yeah.
I liked it. It was good.
I had a 4 out of 5.
Nice.
You better get used to that. But it's really good. I mean, it did. I think, had I thought it was just I don't know. It's it tastes like a red.
Yeah.
So that's where I was kind of like, it's 4 out of 5. It's like a different IPA.
Yeah.
If I had gotten into it thinking it was a regular IPA, it would have been lower. It would have been a weird flavor. But I guess I had it red. Yeah. 4 out of 5.
It's good.
Really good.
Four Hands does not disappoint.
No, not so far.
And then, about half an hour west of St. Louis, I found out, is a company called Narrow Gauge.
Okay.
Brewing company out of where I don't know. We'll come back to it. Their OJ Run Hazy Imperial IPA.
Mm-hmm. Was it White Bronco Brewing?
No, Narrow Gauge Brewing.
Oh,
company.
okay. Get it?
Well done.
Well, okay, there you go.
It came back to me. Sorry, I was looking at the can. You're like, so what I said
OJ
was
Run.
White Bronco.
All right,
Florissant, Missouri, to the west of them.
Okay. Well, first of all, if it's west of St. Louis, it's got. I mean, if it's not Illinois, that's
true.
East, so I get you.
Yeah, the Citra Galaxy Amarillo in Columbus. It was a 4.25 for me. I really liked this. It was nice, clean. It had a great taste to it.
It's probably my favorite beer of the night for me personally.
Sure.
Maybe the next one. So I had a 4 out of 5, but I think I would probably round up to a 4.25. Like if I had to be nitpicky,
sure,
because it's better than the last one, which is a 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of those like, I need something in between.
Yeah.
I need 4.125. I need somewhere in between.
I think I saw something on Tap recently, like somebody put on like the journal like 4.32. I was like, what?
No,
like
you got to be able to choose. Look,
yeah,
you got to be able to choose.
Keep it easy.
Yeah, and I have the same thing with movie reviews, right?
Sure.
If you have 5 stars, like 4 stars, I do think is a little bit tough.
True.
But if you got like 5 to like, and Untapped is at a 5.
Yes.
4.25. So I'll change it. I have 4.25.
It's really good.
Yeah, it was good.
And then we went back to our friends again
Yes.
from the St. Louis area, but Second Shift Brewing.
Yeah.
Their Brewligans New England style IPA. Really, really good.
I liked it a lot.
And we had Second Shift, a few of them.
Couple of them. Yeah, yep.
I would say a 4 for me.
Yeah.
I really like this.
Yeah, 4 as well. It was a solid option. Like, it really, I think all of the beers that we had, for the most part in St. Louis, all of them are right in our wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Like,
they were great overall.
A lot of beer over that week.
We definitely enjoyed it.
It was a lot.
Yes.
It were all right in our wheelhouse. But
Yes.
Second Shift was good.
And then, to bring it right back to our friends from Narrow Gauge, out of west of that, whatever it is, Florissant, their Scales of Eternity West Coast style Imperial IPA.
Yeah.
For me, I actually really like this. I had a 4.25 for me. I think the two from the company were like a nice feeling, like a local, like microbrew, where you could be like, oh, I can have this in the tap room, but to have it be distributed, it was really good. So had Mosaic, I like that.
I mean, obviously, right?
Yeah.
So I started with the 4.25 and I bumped it down because as it kind of got a little bit on, I didn't like it as much. But again, nitpicky.
Sure.
It was really good.
Yeah.
All 4 were really good.
Yep.
Like, again, from a beer scene standpoint, I think St. Louis maybe gets some short shrift. We've talked about San Diego, we've talked about Asheville,
Totally.
we've talked about Portland, we've talked about St. Paul, Minneapolis. Like we've said the New England area and the Boston. Like there's some really good areas. At least from a craft beer standpoint, we had some outstanding beers, including one of the best beers either one of us have had in quite some time out of Four Hands.
God.
And really, I think it was really good.
Love it.
Yep, loved it.
The exciting quiz program 21.
Our final segment of the episode is Quiz Show.
I have stood on the shoulders of life, and I've never gotten down into the dirt to build.
Where in our research for our subject film, we find some interesting trivia nuggets that we hope will stump the other and possibly intrigue you.
This is not McCarthyism. We're not here to expose for the sake of exposure.
This is Quiz Show.
Well, evidently certain of the contestants were given the answers in advance.
Cheating on a quiz show. It's like plagiarizing a comic strip.
All right. I actually ended up with 3, which fun times because I had 0 going into the movie. So suck on that, Tim.
I'm like, yeah.
Did you cheat over my shoulder?
I don't cheat on this shit.
I have 3. One of them is pretty easy, but what?
I have 3.5. So.
3.5.
There's one that maybe we'll have it.
Go ahead, Tim. You can start.
So many actors were considered and offered the role of John Doe before the filmmakers landed on Kevin Spacey, including Ned Beatty, right? Michael Stipe, lead vocalist for REM.
Sure, that would have made sense.
Image-wise, he's very scrawny.
I get it, but
Christopher Guest,
yeah,
the late Gene Hackman, and someone who recently passed away. No disrespect to Gene Hackman, who we raved about in the Heat episode.
Really? Val Kilmer?
Val Kilmer.
Wow.
Right?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he passed on it.
I saw that Denzel was considered for Mills.
I know, right?
Actually, and he passed on it, and he regretted it after he saw the screeners.
The final thing,
but interesting.
There you go.
All right, so oh man, you're gonna like a couple of these.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna start light. So another young, at the time, classic director was considered and talked to about directing Seven. But he turned it down because he had a much more rosy view on the world than the screenplay portrayed.
Okay.
Care to guess what 3-time Oscar-winning director-producer considered taking on the film? I can give you a hint, but he'd be about the same age as Fincher.
3-time Oscar winner.
Yes. One as, well, I guess technically
Sure.
2 as a
For
director,
what?
but 1 as a producer.
Okay.
So he directed, produces the movie. He won 2 Oscars for that, for director and producer, meaning it won Best Picture.
Similar
And he
age.
also won a director Oscar for best. I'm going to do multiple hits. Best animated feature.
Best animated.
I'll give you one more hint if you really wanted it.
I'm trying to think of like
because I wrote it down. I just threw down the animated
I
one
can't
here, but
think
yeah.
of it.
So we are going to cover one of his movies next year for sure. It's a foreign language film.
Oh God.
From 2006.
I love the. I know. I'm like, what would have been a foreign language?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Tell me.
Guillermo del Toro.
Oh man, really?
Yeah, he was. Wow. He was talked to about it, and Guillermo, if you know anything about Guillermo del Toro, he idolizes Frank Capra. He loves Frank Capra. That's his favorite director of all time.
Really?
And he's got that view of the world. He's got that sort
Pinocchio,
of optimistic
yeah.
view of the world. Yes, I understand that Pan's Labyrinth is the maybe exception to this, because that's what we'll be covering next year.
Yeah.
There's no way we don't talk about Pan's Labyrinth next year.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, so Guillermo was talked to about it. I don't think there was an offer necessarily, but he turned it down because he just read the screenplay and said it's just too pessimistic about the world, and I have a more sort of positive view.
Sure. We'll change the ending. So Arlie Ermy,
yes,
plays the police captain.
This ain't even my desk. It's one of my favorite lines.
So great.
I love it.
And John C. McKinley.
McGinley, but yeah.
Sorry.
McKinley is a president from the early 1900s
One of the few
that
assassinated.
some people love.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, except for one guy. Plays a police officer, both actors being well known for their other roles before and after.
Okay.
And while they share no screen time in this, they would eventually co-star in one 2002 episode of what long-running hospital set comedy?
Jesus, Scrubs.
I know.
Oh my God.
We were talking about
You're getting all over the place here. Yeah.
Bless it. Yeah. Arlie Emery, or Ermy, played the janitor's dad.
Oh, yeah, man.
I was like,
I love that show.
You said Scrubs, I'm like, damn it.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love Scrubs.
Oh, so great.
I also recently rewatched The Frighteners.
That's been a long time.
It's an underrated movie, man.
Totally.
Really good.
Yes.
And Arlie Ermy is in that.
That's so great.
Anyway.
All right.
Okay. Okay. So the delivery driver at the end.
Yeah.
Who delivers the box.
Yeah.
The very famous box. He is played by Richmond Arquette. Yes. Of the Arquette family.
Really?
Yes. He is an Arquette
The
family
Arquette.
member.
Okay. Cool.
And actually, he would have roles in other Fincher films such as Zodiac, Mank, and Curious Case of Benjamin Button. But he actually does have a role as a doctor telling a main character to get some sleep.
I do remember that
In
from
what Fincher?
Fight Club.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like eat some root or whatever.
Yeah. You just need some good, healthy sleep.
Yes.
That's Richmond Arquette, ladies and
I
gentlemen.
do remember that. Yes. I'm like that's the driver.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't know how he did it, but there he is.
Oh,
He's
it's
in
good.
5 Fincher films, but yeah.
Jeez. I don't think I've seen Mank. No, I haven't seen it.
Oh,
I know.
Come on.
It's one of those like Fincher ones.
It's not an all-time great Fincher movie in terms of what we've seen before. It's so good though.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. From an old Hollywood kind of style.
All right, so buckle up.
Buckling.
So even though this film precedes the others, which are part of this trivia, in terms of release date,
God.
We have seen the diner where Somerset and Tracy meet to talk about their or her concerns in 4 other films we've covered in the podcast. It's actually called The Quality Cafe. And it's actually the only kind of slight reference to where they might be taking place. It's a place in LA. I'm going to give it the year. And one of the main actors in that film, the diner scene that takes place in.
Okay.
And I need you to name those 4 films. So 2001, Denzel Washington.
Yeah, Training Day.
Yep. 2002, Tom Hanks.
Catch Me If You Can.
2003, Luke Wilson.
Luke Wilson? Oh my God. What? Old School?
Yep.
Okay.
2004, we just covered recently, Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman. Really? In $1 Million Baby?
That's the cafe. That is the cafe.
Little,
Yes, the back scene. And even though we won't not going to cover this here, not to be left out, the other star of Seven, Brad Pitt, has a scene in that diner with Vince Vaughn in 2005's Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Interesting.
Right?
Also a great movie.
Oh, very
we won't
good.
cover
Yes.
it.
No,
Yeah,
not that worth it. But yeah, that diner is very well known in Hollywood. Yes.
That's the thing. I wonder if they also are ambiguous or ambiguous, whatever. Ambiguous about where this takes place.
Totally.
Like
they don't want to be like
it's New York, but then it's LA, but also LA doesn't have an elevated train. So it's like you kind of has to be in New York at that point.
Yep.
All right. Do you have any more? You said 3.5.
The other one's
okay.
It's really
all right, Tim. As we discussed earlier, the opening credit sequence is credited
to Kevin something.
Yeah, to Kyle Cooper.
Kyle, that guy.
It's actually credited with revolutionizing opening credit sequences. Like, I mean, can you think of an opening credit sequence before this that was like, so Kyle Cooper actually created it and would actually go on to create opening credits that we have covered and talked about on this. Not in terms of Kyle Cooper creating it, but I didn't realize this until tonight. In our 2002 and 2004 seasons, care to guess which two films with great opening credits sequences?
We've covered
02. I know, and we covered 120 some movies, but we haven't talked about that many opening credit sequences. I will give you a very easy clue. I gave you
the year and the star.
I gave you a year.
Sure.
Fine, but if I give you 2002
some hint.
is a comic book movie.
I'm gonna guess Spider-Man.
That's correct. The Spider-Man opening sequence we talked about, where it's the whole thing or whatever. That is Kyle Cooper as well. In 2004,
that's great.
It's hard to just, if I give you the real honest, like,
it's the last.
So we just covered it last year. Boy, I don't know if I can give you a hint that wouldn't dead give it away.
I'm gonna look back through 2004.
Quite frankly, yeah. because I will say this: like, there's no real way. I'll say this: the
Shaun
opening
of the Dead.
That is incorrect, but a good guess, and you're right on track.
No, sorry, Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the Dead is correct.
Yeah, shit. So further down.
He's done other things, and he's been in a whole lot of things. He's done a ton of opening credit sequences. We've covered those two.
Nice. I won't. So that's a buzzer.
Oddly enough,
that makes total sense.
This dude from Yale grad school or whatever that Fincher talked to. There we go.
That's so great.
I know, it's totally random.
That's great trivia.
All right. So that brings us to the end of the episode. Be sure to find all of our previous episodes on your favorite streaming platforms and stay tuned for our upcoming happy hour on 12 Monkeys and upcoming episodes when we actually do cover films from 2005 in the 40-Year-Old Virgin and Wedding Crashers. Find us on the web via the metaverse of Facebook, Instagram, and Threads, and head to 20years4beers.com for more info. We want to say thank you for taking the time to listen and for clicking that like or subscribe button on your devices. This has been 20 Years 4 Beers. My name is Steve.
I'm Tim.
And thanks for listening.
Thanks.
I work with people on a day-to-day basis who are the biggest dumb motherfuckers on the planet, but they're nice people.
Speaking of, like, silence.
Whoa! Speaking of gluttony and 7 inches,